Hi, my name's Nigel Oates, and I just want to talk to you today about my experiences with the VegBox scheme. So I retired after almost 40 years working for the NHS last year, and to my dismay suddenly realised that my health had declined quite substantially in the last few years. I'd been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had shockingly high triglyceride and cholesterol levels, and I was substantially overweight. So at that point, my GP decided it would be a good idea for me to be put in touch with the social prescribing team, and thanks to the efforts of Izzy and Co, I was then put in touch with the VegBox people and benefited from having a VegBox every week for a number of months at the end of last year. So the immediate benefits were apparent because I was getting free veg on a weekly basis, but I think my initial concern was, is it just going to be rabbit food? Is it just going to be endless chard and things that I don't know what to do with? And to some extent that was borne out when I brought my first VegBox home. It was very muddy, it was very damp, and there were a number of things in there that I neither recognised nor necessarily wanted to get involved with cooking. However, one of the great things was that they followed up the VegBox with an email with some suggestions on it of recipes that I might like to try, one of which was a squash soup. So I had a go at making squash soup, and it was a resounding success, even to the point when I'd garnished it with some leaves that was given. I took a photograph of it and sent it to the social prescribing team because I was particularly proud of what I'd managed to achieve, and it didn't taste half bad. So I probably didn't use everything in that first week, if I'm completely honest, but the week after I made myself a promise I would try and use absolutely everything. And with some judicious use of recipes that I found on the internet and from the VegBox team at Newquay Orchard, I actually managed to use everything, and it got to the point then when I was really looking forward to getting the VegBox each week to see what was in it, but also to see what use I could make of it. And I really did feel that it was a lot better quality than I was perhaps getting at the supermarket. As I've got older, I've also become more aware of the ethical food mile industries and the problems that are associated with importing food, and I'm more keen now on local produce. So this fed in nicely to my way of thinking. The fact that I'd also recently retired gave me a little bit more time to actually shop locally, to actually think about what I was buying, where it had come from, and to actually experiment with some of the recipes and some of the ingredients that I was being sent. So fast forward to the end of the year, and then my involvement with the scheme at that point was coming to an end. But some of the changes that I've made were by now deeply ingrained in what I was hoping to achieve, both for my health and my lifestyle. The great news was when I went for a checkup some 6 months after my retirement, I actually found my cholesterol had gone absolutely back to normal. A lot of my other biochemistry, blood biochemistry was on the right track to coming back to normal, and I'd actually dropped by a stone in weight. So this wasn't, of course, just solely due to the VegBox scheme. It was a whole lifestyle change that I'd made, but it certainly did help. And it certainly, the eating side of things was obviously a massive change that I'd made, but also a change in lifestyle, a change in pace, but more importantly a change in the way in which I thought about things, where my food came from, what I could do with it, and how good it was for me. Other changes that I've been encouraged to make as well is I've actually now got my own polytunnel. So in my front garden, I'm fortunate enough to be blessed with a large garden. I now have a 3-metre polytunnel, and I'm growing quite a lot of my own vegetables now. So I have potatoes, broccoli, cabbage, tomatoes, cucumbers. I've even got a few herbs in there that I'm putting together, and some nice flowers as well that I'm distributing amongst the family. So it's my fervent hope that by this time next year, not only will I be even slimmer and more healthy, but I'll also be producing a fair proportion of my own food. And I don't think it's probably too far off me being able to produce a good 50% of the vegetables that I eat locally, and I think that probably the health benefits of that are going to be absolutely massive, apart from the fact that I know exactly where the food's coming from, how it's been produced, how the sort of fertiliser and the pesticides that have been involved in its production as well. So I'm a massive fan of the scheme, and I would thoroughly recommend anyone who's recommended to go on it that they take advantage of it. So you can put any prejudices you may have about organic or locally produced foods to bed, because although the veg may look a little bit knobbly, maybe a little bit dirty, maybe a different shape and size than you're used to, I can guarantee you that the taste of it and the things you can do with it far outweigh any disadvantages you might have thought are associated with the scheme. I'm a huge fan of it. I wish them every success, and it's certainly made a massive change, not only to my lifestyle and my health, but also to the way I think about local produce, locally produced food, and the way in which we can all do more for sustainability.
There you go, and go.